think one of the things that's the most attractive about a church, particularly to actually to both unchurched people and to church-wounded people, is when they encounter authenticity. It's disarming to them. I think this is a great problem in the North American church is, believe it or not, we don't tell the truth. We don't tell the truth about ourselves. And that sense of dishonesty breeds a real doubt among both congregants and visitors. And the gospel gives this freedom to be out with who we are and not to pretend. We don't have to present ourselves as people with great reputations, good Christian people, because we're not. And when we confess that we're not and present ourselves as we are, it's refreshing to people. Isn't it amazing? You can actually make a powerful impact just by not being a fraud, not being artificial. I was visiting a woman in our church, and she told me the story of growing up in the Chattanooga area. And her father was a pastor. Her mother was kind of the quintessential pastor's wife. She played the piano. She directed the choir. She taught Sunday school. Their whole life was, integrated into the church. And then her father did something wrong, perhaps immoral, I forget. But he lost his job. They lost their position. They were ostracized by people in the church. Former friends had nothing to do with them. So this woman that I was visiting, was attending our church, was telling me how, how she had this chip on her shoulder against the church. She felt like, oh, okay, well, all the talk of community and loving each other as we are went right out the window. The church is a fraud. So she made a practice as an adult of visiting churches regularly. She knew the Bible was true. She knew there was a God. She knew she needed to be in a relationship with God. She just had this bitterness towards the church. And so she'd attend every church long enough to encounter someone who was hypocritical, someone who was, unkind, something that would immediately cause her to say, see, the church is not legitimate. So she'd been attending our church, and I asked her why she kept coming. And she said, well, I'll tell you what happened. The first time I visited, a friend invited me, and I came in, and I said, okay, I'll try Seven Rivers Church. But, she was already had her eyes open to find the flaw at Seven Rivers that would justify her leaving and never coming back. And she said the first time she walked in, she wasn't, 15 seconds walking in the back of the church, and she overheard this lady in a furious rage about her children, talking about her children on the way to church. She couldn't get them out of bed. They wouldn't get dressed. They were fighting the whole way. They were fighting with each other. They wouldn't eat breakfast. They were, uncooperative. And the lady said, sometimes I feel like I could just kill my kids. And the woman who had brought the woman who had, this chip on her church from childhood leaned over and said, that's our pastor's wife. And she said instantly, that sense of cynicism just sort of melted away. And she said, if the pastor's wife is allowed to be real and actually express what every parent feels, and just about every parent feels on Sunday morning, gosh, there's something genuine here.